Damn, my video cut off on me, man. I was talking about me and Big Bro at the why I keep saying the Northwest, the AMC, the AMC theater out there in Northland. That's why I keep getting Northwest mixed with Northland. But the Northwest was on Grand River and Greenfield. No, Grand River and Southfield. That's where the Northwest was at. But the AMC was out there by Northland on 8 Mile in Greenfield, between 8 Mile and 9 Mile. Yep. And another flaw I said on my video, I said RIH, my man Squirrel. Squirrel, forgive me for saying that, even though we resting in heaven right now because we living good, baby. But we still out here. Shout out to my man Squirrel, my man B Daniels, real nigga, grew up with me, nigga. We both was cut, nigga, to the bone. We grew up back off Quincy. Me and Squirrel go back to Quincy days. But it's so many of my niggas that passed away. So I made a mistake and said RIH, but my man Squirrel's still here. And Squirrel still doing his thing with the weed, you know what I mean? It's some more weed stories. I give y'all some more weed stories. Shout out to Squirrel. I remember we was young, and Squirrel Daddy was always the weed man. Shout out to my man Knots. These my people. Shout out to Knots. And I remember Knox, this was when we was in middle school. Knox used to give his son weed and shit, and or Squirrel used to steal his daddy weed. Ain't no telling. But we was young niggas. We ain't know what to do much with it then. You know what I mean? But we knew more because we was neighborhood kids. We was bad niggas. This when we was in middle school, like 13 and shit like that. 12. We was 12, 13, and 14. You know what I mean? We badass kids, and Squirrel had stole like a couple. I don't know if he stole them or he got them from his daddy. Did his daddy give him a couple ounces? But he had a couple ounces of popcorn, and he gave it to my cousin, baby brother. Shout out to baby brother. And this one, baby brother and them, they had moved on Lamoth, big ass, nice ass, pretty house. You know what I mean? They were staying on Lamoth, right around the corner from Aretha Franklin house. Right around the corner from where Aretha Franklin grew up. Babe Branham stayed on Lamoth, and Aretha Franklin them stayed on Lothrop. That's 30 seconds away from their house. That ain't no way. You know what I mean? And I remember Squirrel had gave Babe Bruh some weed and shit. A couple ounces of weed. We ain't know it was a couple ounces, but we did know because we back then we was already buying weed and smoking weed. Our homeboys had weed already. My man Shaki, shout out to Shaki. Shaki was from Pingree and Grand River. Shout out to Shaki. Shaki was always a big dog. His sister was in our grade. Shaki was like a grade or two over us, but he was advanced. You know what I mean? His sister Keisha Brooks. You know what I mean? One love to Keisha Brooks and my nigga Shaquille Brooks. Um, Shaquille had the weed then. My man P. Watt and them, we used to go down and get weed from Shaquille. He was serving us out the motherfucking pound bag back then. Little dimes and shit. And we a bad and walk to school, smoking shit. We a little badass nigga. But so we knew what Nixon. I mean, not Nix. Nix wasn't even out. Knicks was a new thing in the 2000s or the late 90s. And when Knicks came out, it was 20s and 10s and shit back. When I was young in the 90s, it wasn't no Nickels. Nickels came out, but my man B Daniels, my man Squirrel, he had gave my cousin Babe Bruh couple ounces, and we go over Babe Bruh house. We don't know what's going on, but we Squirrel wasn't there with us. But me and my man P Watt, we was hanging out, and we like, let's go over Babe Bruh house. And we walk all the way we walk to Babe Bruh house, and we go in. This nigga Babe Bruh, he feeling like Tony Montana or something. This nigga, he we we walk in the house on his mama. She had a nice ass mirror table, and that's when tables used to have it was like a coffee table or something, but it was a mirror at the top where you put shit at, and she had the sweet ass mirror table, and this nigga had like 5 big ass bags on the table of weed. Like five these motherfucking bags, it was 20s and tens out back then. This nigga had like five $50 sacks on the table. And he like, yeah, nigga, I'm selling weed now. And we like, nigga, what you doing with all this weed? Yeah, nigga, I got this shit from Squirrel, nigga. So and we like, bruh. He like, these dimes. That's what he said. He got 5 big ass bags on the table. He like, I'm gonna sell these for dimes. Me and P Watt look, we laughing like we like, man, these ain't no damn dimes, bitch. Nigga, these damn near half ounces. We like, nigga, this a lot of weed you got in these bags. And me and P Watt, we knew more than a little more than Babe, bro, cause me and P Watt, we was copping weed from Shakina. And then we seen what Shakina used to give us, you know what I mean? So we knew what a dime was. So me and P we sitting at the table with this nigga Barry Bruh, and we split all the weed up like into dimes. We showed him like out of them 5 bags he had, we made up like 20 bags out of it. Like, nah, these is dimes, nigga. You can sell these, nigga, and get money. You know what I mean? And shit like that. And we plan on smoking some. We like, nigga, we gonna smoke. And this nigga daddy walk in the house, Big Paul. Shout out to Big Paul. This nigga walk in the house, and we like, oh shit, we scared than a motherfucker. It like we gonna get a whooping. He like damn near our daddy. Cause back in the then it took a village to raise kids. So it was like that. So we was scared of our kids. Our homeboys' parents and shit like that too. And Big Paul walked in, and we shook. We sit back, and he see all that goddamn weed on the table. He chug. That's what he called Babe, bro. Chug. What's this shit? What you do with all this shit? Now, Big Paul, like I said, we used to re-rock his tails. And we used to, so he knew what the fuck weed is. Big Paul was a street nigga. Big Paul, like, Chug, what you doing with this goddamn weed? He snatched all the goddamn weed off the table, one grab. He grabbed all the goddamn weed off the table. He like, come up to my room, boy, let me talk to you. He done, took Baby Bro up to the room, me and P.Y. We like, man, we got to get the fuck up out of here, nigga. So we get out of there, but Big Paul took the weed. But I found out later that Squirrel brought his daddy back and got some of the weed back. Because, Squirrel Daddy knew what he was doing. He knew he gave his son that shit. You know what I mean? Shout out to Knox. Knox was always a real hustler, man. One love to Knox, man. I grew up around real OGs up on Linwood, man. But Knox came back and with Squirrel, and they got some of the weed back. And then they end up finding out that Knox and Big Paul was some type of cousins. You know what I mean? So that made us tighter with my man Squirrel, because we family, even though Big Paul wasn't my family for real, but his wife was. My cousin Baby Bro mama was cousins with my mama. You know what I mean? Even though I used to call her auntie because she was older than me, and that was my mama road dog, but they was cousins. You know what I mean? My grandma, I don't want to go through all that. Y'all don't know these people personally. But yeah, that's just another funny weed story, man. Uncle Paul found that motherfucking weed, and we was laughing like a mother. I mean, we was scared than the motherfucker when he found that weed and shit, but it all worked out. You know what I mean? It's just funny weed stories about me over the years from me smoking weed. You know what I mean? That's why it ain't shit for me to quit weed. Like, I've been dealing with weed and smoking weed for years, you know what I mean? Because right after that story, that's when my big brother came back in town. And he came in town, and his people, my brother was already a street nigga before he left town. He was in the 80s. That's why my mama kind of sent him off. because he was getting more to them streets. So she ain't had to send him down south, but she was like, I don't want you here, nigga. You starting to be too bad. So he moved down in Alabama around my grandma and them, and that nigga was even more. He's making big money, nigga. And and shit like that, bro. Used to send me fresh clothes and all that shit back to the city. You know what I mean? Bought me the dog ass Reebok tracksuit, all that. I remember my brother got shot. I had a big brother with the street. He got shot. That kind of boosts your popularity when your brother gets shot. Like nigga, boy, y'all like that. We went down south, go see, aka the real North. Where we went down south, go see him. He got shot. He had the Bo Jacksons on when he got shot. I remember they had blood in them. Grandma showed, bro. Big bro was a man, something else. You know what I mean? But yeah, big bro came back to town, and his plug, his best friend named Chris, he was the plug on the loud. I mean, not the loud, the corns back then, and I remember Chris sent my. That's when I seen weed in a treasure chest. My brother Chris brought the bowls over, and this was 1996. And my brother opened that motherfucking treasure chest and had the weed in that bitch. I'm like, damn. Right in my mama basement. I'm like, God damn. These my weed stories. I'm gonna tell y'all my weed story. And big bro, he had all that weed, and he tried to put my cousin on first before me. I don't know why he made that dumb decision. And I was the one that knew the game. You know what I mean? I already had a little piece of the game. Like I said, my brother showed me a lot of game with the drugs, but before he was here, I was already fast too. I was so fast because my mama used to go to work from 2 to 11 every day. And we used to get out of school at 2:30. So I wouldn't see my mama till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night every day. So I had more time. And my daddy, he was living way on the east side. So I had more time to rip and run these streets, you know what I mean? That's why I was so popular. And that's why everybody know me on Linwood, because they couldn't even leave off their street. But I'd be on their motherfucking street. I ride my bike. I ask a nigga where y'all live at and shit. Like I ride to their street all over the neighborhood and be on their street, and they couldn't even leave their street. So that's how I know so many people, and I was popular. I had more advantage to get around. You know what I mean? So I knew a lot, and my brother came back and he had the plug on the weed, and he gave my cousin a sack first, and my cousin fucked his sack up. My brother went and took his pager, threatened him, and all that shit. And so I'm like, bruh, nigga, I'm the one can move that shit. And my big brother gave me a sack. My first weed sack, I sold that bitch in minutes, nigga. I sold that my first weed sack. I got that bitch in 1996 or 1997. I was either 14 or 15. I had got that motherfucking weed sack, and I sold that bitch in seconds. Like once I went around the corner, I went to Columbus. Shout out to my niggas on Columbus. Shout out to my nigga Big Spoon. Shout out to my nigga Killer Country. Shout out to my nigga Mike D. Shout out to Kevin Kev. Shout out to my nigga Pistol Pete. I can name all them real, soldiers that was on Columbus, man. I went around on Columbus with that sack, and my man Pistol Pete, the first nigga, walked up on me, and I was like, Pete, nigga, I got some weed. And Pete was like, what? Oh, you out here rolling, little flight? He ain't say little flight, you know what I'm saying? He was like, but I was a little homie to him, so he might did say little flight. But he like, flight, nigga, you out here rolling? I'm like, yeah, shit, I got a sack of weed, and I whipped out the whole sack. I was green. I had all dimes. That Nicks wasn't out. I had dimes. And Pistol Pete, he was like, "Ooh, boy, these some good corns. This some good weed." He's like, "Give me 6 of these bags," because them niggas was around there selling crack. Them niggas was thousandaires. They was getting money off that crack rock. And that nigga like, nigga, he like, nigga, I want 6 of them. And I sold him 6 dime bags. So that was $60 off top. And then he turned around to the niggas all on the porch, all my big dogs, all my big homies, they niggas was getting money. He was like, nigga, Flight down here got some weed. And they was like, what? You know, they were so happy to see me rolling because they knew me before that. I was already on the scene. I've been off the porch I never was on the porch. I've been off the porch forever. They already knew me from a fucking baby. You know what I mean? From a kid. Because I was at the goddamn Montgomery store playing a video game. I used to be on Columbus. We used to go on Columbus and have snow fights with Mike D and them back when we was 11 and shit like that. So everybody already knew me. I'm Linwood in and out. You know what I mean? I wasn't never on the porch. So I went. Them niggas. Everybody bought all my weed from me in seconds, and I ran back around to my brother, so happy with the money, like. Nigga, give me another sack. Like I told you, bro. His eyes, man, got big as fuck. He like, God damn, bro, where you sell that shit at? Cause he was back new to Detroit. I'm like, nigga, I'm like, give me another sack, nigga. He made me another sack, nigga. I went back around there and it took a little longer, but I sold that bitch before the night was over, you know? And bro, like, God damn, nigga, you ran through this shit. Yeah, so I got a history on that little weed and shit. That was funny, but and I probably think of another story. I got weed stories, but right now I don't give a fuck about weed, like smoking it at all. I don't care about smoking weed like that. That shit. That's the farthest thing from my mind, and I really feel like that was a stumbling block on me, man. From the shit I do now. I even though I always was clean, I wasn't never lazy or none of that. Y'all can see from my videos when I was smoking weed, I used to get out, cut my grass. I got videos working out and shit like that. Like I ain't just no lazy nigga. I was raised up right. You know what I mean? But weed was hindering me on a lot of shit. And I see that from 1 month not smoking. Because I do way more shit now. Like, to the point, I wash clothes today because it's Wednesday. So Wednesday, I try to clean up heavy and wash clothes heavy, But it wasn't even that many clothes to wash. And the only thing I had to clean up today was my kitchen. And I wiped down my bathrooms, even though they wasn't even dirty, because I don't smoke weed. So I got more energy and shit like that. And that's one thing about my homegirl Gypsy. She had said, I keep addressing my girl Gypsy because she had said some of my video about smoking weed. And she was like, some of us got the amount of energy where we need weed to slow us down. But no, boo, that ain't the energy I'm talking about when I said I got a new energy now. Because I had that same energy that you talking about. And that's the energy, that's a frustration energy where you feel like you doing so much, but you be like, man, I gotta smoke. I gotta sit down and smoke to calm down so I can smoke and be calm. No, that was like a bad energy, really. I had that energy. I used to be doing shit and then feel frustrated, like a frustrated, and then I gotta sit down and smoke, get calm. I don't have that no more. That was the weed calling to make us to sit down and smoke. I don't have that. I got a good energy now, like a good vibe, and I don't be want to lose that for shit. I wouldn't dare want to sit down and lose that goddamn energy I got. You know what I mean? And it's to a point where, um, like when I wash clothes today, and I'm like, I gotta get all my clothes out, and I got all my clothes out, and why? And then I was like, damn, it's a load in the washer. I gotta get that bitch out, and I ran down the stairs to get it, and it wasn't nothing in the washer. I'm like, damn, I'd already dried and folded that shit. Damn, I thought it was another load in there. So I got that type of energy now. Like, and I had this energy as a kid when I was young, and sometimes I forgot about that type of energy. You know what I mean? It's like a better energy on me now. I don't need to smoke to chill out. And when I smoke these little herbs I'm smoking now, I'm doing that because I'm sipping on a little wine. You know what I mean? I got a little wine I had in my freezer, and I'm like, I'm gonna just finish this wine and chill. and I'm chilling in front of my little fireplace. I feel like Bowser, boy. You know how Bowser used to be in the fire all the time. This little fire, boy, little fake fire got me feeling like Bowser. King Cooper, bitch. I'm about to change my name to King Cooper. Ha 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 ha. I feel like King Cooper in front of my little heater. Yeah, yo, but this just part two of my little weed journeys and smoking weed. And I'd have been through weed all my life, so if I can quit it, anybody can. And weed was a stumbling block on me. I ain't saying it is to everybody, and I don't want to down weed, but weed, this shit, it ain't even the same weed we had. I've been smoking weed so long, this new shit ain't the same weed because this shit wasn't even making a nigga high. This shit was bullshit. You know what I mean? Ain't no telling how they growing it. And like I said something about they putting fentanyl on the weed. My homegirl Gypsy said, well, she ain't my homegirl, but she's somebody from YouTube. She had put on a comment that you can't grow weed with fentanyl on it, it'll kill a plant. But I didn't say grow weed on it. I said they putting fentanyl on it probably. And I seen studies, they got that on the news. They was talking about fentanyl might be on the weed. But I was talking about niggas might sprinkle fentanyl on the weed because this shit's so weak, they trying to make you high. So they can make money. Ain't no telling what these niggas sprinkling on that weed. You know what I mean? So watch what y'all smoking out here, man. This ain't the weed we grew up off of. This ain't the weed from the 90s. This ain't the weed from the early 2000s, the 2010s and 11s. This ain't that. And they got this shit coming everywhere. They growing this shit in labs and all that time. Ain't no telling how they growing this shit. But I know I wasn't feeling high, but I was feeling down and lazy, you know what I mean? Or something like that. Or it'll give me a relief where I'm not mad no more. But now I don't even get mad whether I smoked or not. And these little herbs I got, I'm smoking them now because I'm drinking this little wine, but I don't smoke this shit all day. Hell no. I don't even be needing to smoke. I used to need to smoke. That's that energy you was talking about, boo. Like it's that energy, like, man, damn, I need to smoke so I can calm down. But that was just a bad energy. You feel me? I ain't got that. I don't want to calm down this energy I got now. It's just a good vibe, a good energy, you know what I mean? And these herbs ain't hindering it, you know what I mean? But I don't need these herbs all the time. Like I needed weed. I used to need weed. Like, nigga, I need to smoke, nigga, before I blow this motherfucking head off. And shit like that. That ain't the same energy, you know. Yeah, I feel more better, you know. I do more when I wake up. Once I wake up out my sleep, I be smiling. Sometimes I wake up out my sleep not smoking and I be dancing and shit. It feel good, you know. I feel better from just only 1 month of not smoking. Something ain't right with that shit. You know what I mean? I would never smoke marijuana again. Never. I'll never smoke marijuana again. And these little shits, I don't smoke these all the time, these little herbs, but I don't need that. You know what I mean? But sometimes it give you a feeling because, like I said, our people from America, we the Americans, and that was part of our culture. We smoke. You know what I mean? And I don't think we were smoking no marijuana. We were smoking, like I said, motherland, skull cap, lavender, chamomile. We were smoking mug root. We were smoking plantain, and shit like that. I don't think we were just smoking marijuana. When I think we were smoking marijuana, that was for certain type of um I don't know what to call it, but like we call it holidays now, or and shit like that. I don't know. I know they used to take hemp and make a lot of stuff out of hemp, you know. But this weed shit, nigga smoking now, and then everybody smoke now. Like smoking is cool now. When we used to smoke weed, that shit wasn't cool. They look at the street niggas or shit like that smoke weed. Everybody didn't smoke weed when I was smoking it. I was looked down upon when I smoked weed. Like I used to come in smelling like weed and motherfucker look down on me. Like I said, I got suspended out of school for smelling like weed and shit like that, nigga. They suspended me. I was walking to school one day. This another story. I was walking to school smoking weed, and my big homie across the street, Big Lawrence. I grew up with real men around me, and he seen me walking to school, and I was smoking weed. This was middle school, and he went and told my daddy. He didn't tell my mama. My mama stayed right across the street from him. He ain't tell her, cause niggas ain't know how to approach my mama. My mama tell you to kick rocks sometimes. Like, get the fuck out of my nigga. I don't feel like talking to you, nigga. So he didn't tell my mama. He told my daddy. And my daddy never said nothing to me. My daddy already knew how I was cut because he knew how he was cut growing up. That's why my daddy and them tried to put church in me and all that shit as a kid because they didn't want me to be cut like they was. So he told my mama. My mama never said nothing to me. I remember one day I came outside. My mama walked to the edge of the street by where Lawrence went at, and she went off on his ass for that shit. Nigga, you trying to tell on my motherfucking son? I had one of them, mom. Nigga, I know what the fuck my son. Don't tell on my motherfucking son, telling our goddamn business what he doing. Well, look at my mama. Yeah, this is I was going. I was like 12 or 13, walking to school. And nigga see me smoking weed, trying to tell on me because he was wanting to do the right thing about me smoking. And one love the Big Lawrence, man. My mama went off on his ass for telling him about me smoking, man. See, motherfucker, don't worry about what the fuck we doing. Mind your motherfucking business. Before I tell her shit that your ass be doing, she went off on his ass. And I seen it. I'm like, damn, yeah, this motherfucker gonna call. She came in the house and said, he gonna call your daddy, tell about what he seen you smoking and then all in our goddamn business. That's why I didn't have to be bad. You know what I mean? I ain't have to be bad because my parents already was lenient toward me and they already knew how it was because they was kids once before. So I didn't have to be bad. You know what I mean? Like you niggas, y'all had to be bad and be sneaking and doing shit. Yeah, I ain't have to do that. You know what I mean? But this part two about smoking weed and I don't, I never smoke marijuana again, man. That shit was a stumbling block on me. But if it make you people feel good, do y'all do. You know what I mean? But a lot of you niggas new to that shit, man. Y'all don't go back to me like how I was. I go back to single digits with that shit. Nigga, I ain't,